Good to go. Okay, so recording started. Everyone, again, thank you for your patience as we're getting this figured out. And without further ado, here's storage and handling with Manuel Garcia. Manuel, take it away, sir.
Thank you, Stefan, and thank you, everyone, for participating today. Uh, Apologies for the technical difficulties, but this normally works very effectively. I'm not sure what happened today, but I think it was system overload. Having said that, let's get right into it. I promise not to take up more than 50 minutes on this. Uh, the topic today is storage and handling fundamentals. My name is Manny Garcia. I've been in the business for 29 years now, and I've seen a thing or two as far as many industrial and commercial customers throughout my career, where I've been able to help them, and hopefully by partaking in this basic education seminar today, I'll be able to enlighten you all on what's out there, what I've seen. I've seen a lot of really interesting things, a lot of really good opportunities for customers. And unfortunately, you always see the worst, right? Because most people pay attention to a lot of things except how they bring their product in house and how they get it from their storage facility out to the equipment effectively and efficiently. So having said that, we'll go into the presentation. Okay. And I'm assuming everybody can see my screen. Here's just a little cartoon that I like to show on the importance of being a good steward, a good guardian, a good monitor of the product from the moment it lands on your property to the moment that you're able to effectively house it, to the point of actually, we're even going to talk today about cradle to grave, how to get rid of it, and what are the good practices on making sure that you don't confuse some of the waste oil with any of the new oil. So I've got a lot of pictures, I got a lot of slides, got a lot of good topics, and hopefully at the end you'll have some questions for me. The learning objectives today: proper handling of lubricant containers being delivered and received property by your people, proper storage of lubricant containers on the premises, the dedication of lubricant pumps, hoses, and transfer containers by product family. Very important here. We want to make sure that we don't start mixing hoses and pumps between family of different oils. For example, you don't mix a gear oil with a hydraulic oil. Those are two totally different products, different families, different additives, and you want to keep those separate. So we're going to talk about that today. We've helped establish color-coded systems for oils and greases in plants that have worked very effectively for people. Establish a dedicated used oil container away from the new product. I'd like to be able to explain the importance of products that have exceeded their shelf life. In this case, you'll probably want to consult with your oil manufacturer to make sure that they give you advice on, and I've got some rules of thumb as we go through this presentation for different oils and greases. And this is all about culture change. Customers are really good at making gadgets or producing steel or making cookies, whatever it is that they do. They're very good at doing this, but they're not very good at establishing a first in and first out culture in their oil storage and oil warehouse. As a matter of fact, many maintenance superintendents don't even walk by this facility because they're always, their top of mind is keeping the equipment running and making sure production is. And along the way, we want to maintain proper practices. Here's a picture that in my career, none of this is exactly how it was when I walked into this facility. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 there oil pumps for a 55-gallon drum right there in the 2-inch bung where a gentleman can come up and grab that particular product. On the left-hand side here, according to my notes, this is a hydraulic oil tank. Next to it's an ISO 220 gear oil tank. We got a synthetic compressor, very expensive product here, and whale behind it. As you can see by the picture, they use Folgers coffee containers there that they are using to transfer product from point A, warehouse, to point B, the component, the equipment in the plant. So these are definitely not acceptable. This is really what today's topic is about, primarily is how to manage the products as they come into your facility and how to get them effectively to the equipment out on the plant. So you see the manual drum pumps, they look fine. You know, old coffee containers, not a good idea. There's a 5-gallon bucket here. You know pretty well that bucket is being used for all four of these products. All four of these products have totally different additives. This cannot be a successful way of getting oil transferred from the warehouse to the equipment. And as you see by the walls, there's nothing here marking, you know, what's what. It's just everything's thrown in here. So there's a drum in the corner. Just the fact of the matter is, there's going to be products back here that have been here for 5, 10, 15, 20 years or longer, just because it's very hard for somebody to come in and get it. So establishing first in, first out, marking everything, getting the proper transfer containers in-house, color-coded, and properly marked is key, and it's what we're going to talk about today. Another example of what not to do. So this is not a effective way of maintaining a inventory of oils for your facility. The good thing here is they do have a fence around the facility. There's a picture of a man. I cut his face off to protect his identity of a gate that says under lock and key. But once the right person gets in here to get oil for the equipment, you can see that it's not only is it safe, but it's reckless. There's no markings. You got to hunt and what's out there, and this is just going to create havoc, and it's going to cost the company money in the long run by having this type of a system set up. Here's a picture where the only thing marked in this guy's facility is where the used oil tanks are, and as you can see here in the bottom left-hand picture, the two drums with a sticker that says used oil, they're sandwiching an actual product that's a live product for them to use. So not a good idea to store things like this. A lot of confusion, some danger. As a matter of fact, you know, you got kegs and drums and pails and cutting oils and whey oils and a lot of different items. And then when I look back, when I looked in here in the back corner, you can see there's a pail of product with a drum of product, an oiler there. But curiously, in the back of this is two drum handlers, air operated. One still has the air hose attached to it, that are sitting there collecting dust, dirt, and whatever else might, you know, even oil is in this facility, in this back room. So not a good idea to come hunting for an oil drum handler, and all of a sudden you're pulling it out fully contaminated with dust, dirt, and oil dry. So you want to make sure that these items are kept in a stored place or in a bulk situation that we're going to go through, which will allow for a complete cleanly way of managing this oil. Talk about how to take a oil locker or a storage locker that looks like this. On the left-hand side, you've got funnels, a grease tube, another funnel with a rag in it, possibly, you know, who knows? It could even be gasoline in these units. You don't even know. They're not marked. Nothing's marked. And to the right of it, you see where you can organize your oil locker, have an interlocking key. Only people that are eligible and knowledgeable with maintenance and the products that go where should be accessible to this type of equipment. Otherwise, it's just going to be a free-for-all. So managing the inventory, whether it's bulk in drums or even in spray cans or tubes, is extremely important. So good storage and handling. Why are we having this discussion today? Why is STLE looking at getting a basic education seminar out there on this important topic? Well, it's to preserve the integrity of the oil and grease lubricant. It's to guard against contamination of that lubricant. It's to preserve the identification and precautionary labeling that is on all the packaging. It's important for plant personal safety. It protects against health hazards, and it minimizes the risk of environmental contamination. The result to this is you have an economic and an operational reward or a benefit along the way. What's a list of the economic benefits that I'm talking about? Well, the first one is going to be elimination of waste due to the following: leakage or spills from damaged or improperly closed containers, contamination due to exposure of lubricants to dust, metallic particles, fumes, and even moisture, deterioration due to prolonged storage, residual oil or grease left in containers at the time of disposal or return, mixing of different brands or types of lubricants that are incompatible, leaks, spills, and drips when charging a reservoir or lubricating a machine. The operating benefits: reduced caused and related machine problem, hence reduced downtime for repairs, reduced material handling time. The labor costs associated with this can be as high as 8 times the cost of the lubricant. And the overall benefit is better housekeeping. Oil and grease spilled on floors is a major safety and fire hazard. Why the concern? Careless handling of a full drum can lead to injury and damage plant property. Smudging, ripping, or wearing off of drum labels, leading to incorrect usage of the lubricants. And container leaks that create a messy, hazardous environment. In summary, proper storage and handling of lubricants makes good economic, operational, and safety sense. Many users that I have seen in my career are completely, totally unaware of the need to treat lubricants with extreme care. We can add value to any business by assisting with good storage and handling practices. And of course, it's got to be a culture change. Everyone's got to be on board. So here I've got a list that is floating around the world of tribology. It's the elements of a progressive lubrication program. So the name of the game in the center core of this, right there on top, personally, I think storage handling is so important, so key to an effective progressive lubrication program that it can also be listed in the center core, because storage and handling will have all these practices revolve around it: product application, standard operating procedures, proper training, contamination control, liability assessment, all condition monitoring. To include storage and handling is key to an effective equipment reliability program. Now let's talk about 10 or 11 different styles of handling drums in a. Obviously, forklifts. These are for large quantities of oil grease drums or over long distances. They're used effectively in smaller plants. They use manually powered or hand pallet trucks. Here's a picture of a drum handling attachment. These are drum shoes that enable forklift operators to move single drums to storage in a very safe and effective manner. Here's a 4-drum forklift attachment. These clamp devices enable an operator to move from 1 to 4 drums simultaneously in an upright position, whether to the oil storage area or basically we can lay them right on pallets. This has been around for a long time also. These are manual portable elevators. These manually propelled cable or hydraulically elevated platforms reach into the truck from the ground level to receive drums. We all know 55-gallon drums are the world's most popular way of getting oil from the facilities, a lube plant, to an end user or a distributor. The majority of oil sold worldwide is in 55-gallon drums, and one safe and effective means of delivering these drums is as shown with these ramps. And I mean, there's other ways of collecting that drum at the bottom without it getting banged up, but one item is a used tire without a rim in the middle that sits at the bottom, and easy to handle, easy to throw back on the truck and go to your next destination. But these do work, and they work effectively. Once they're on the ground, obviously we have a choice: either stand them back up, or you got to get them the point from next point into your warehouse, and that's rolling them. Always use a 2-man buddy system. This is very hard on your back, especially when these drums can weigh anywhere from 385 pounds to 440 pounds, depending on the product, the oil, the grease that's inside. So moving them by rolling them along the ridges. See, these drums all have ridges, so you're not going to deteriorate any stickers that are on there by rolling them, They will roll effectively on the ridge of the drum, and you'll be able to get them into your warehouse for storage. Another way to move a drum is using a triangular dolly. Devices have projecting lugs, as you can see here, that will hold firmly in position as you move it. A lot of portable stackers out there in the world. These are commonly used for moving drums in and out of storage racks. And of course, chain hoist and trolley on an I-beam bridge. These move drums easily in and out of storage. Barrel trucks are a nice way to have one person manage this very heavy drum on his own, and it enables a worker to move this drum effectively without creating any safety hazards. As you handle these drums, always try to avoid doing something. I mean, this is a lot of this that we're talking about today is common sense, but as you all know, and I know that there's many on the call today that are from the world of academia or from the world of oil manufacturing, or distribution, or even end users. You've all seen people do some really extravagant things that make no sense, but you really don't want to do anything like this because it's going to lead to broken seals, banged up drums, which lead to leaks, which potentially lead to human spills, human falls, and ultimately injury. As you can see right there, these drums are all laid out nicely, but unfortunately they've been banged up before they're laid down, and they are leaking in more than one area. Along the way, labeling can be distorted during improper handling, resulting in an unknown lubricant inside that drum as well. Let's talk a little bit about contamination. If one does not properly protect the oils and greases used in the plant, contamination can easily get from the containers into the equipment. These contaminants can easily cause wear of parts and increase the oxidation of the oil, reducing their useful life. Misuse or improper storage of oil application equipment is a primary cause of oil contamination. Here you see some things not to do. Metal containers that are open, unmarked, funnels just laying there, rags all over the place, a bucket. These are absolutely unacceptable in the world that we live in today. The single greatest opportunity for increasing component life and lowering the operating costs is to effectively manage fluid. Now back to handling products. Preserving the integrity of fluid while getting it from storage to usage is very, very key. Bear in mind that often the best ways are also extremely easy and most efficient ways. Try to stay away from things like coffee containers and what's shown here in my slide. These are unacceptable. Open containers to the atmosphere. As you can see, there's dust and dirt and just contamination everywhere. This picture in the top left, I asked these folks, where they get their rags, because they're not even rags that are absorbent. They're not lint-free cotton rags. These are sweatpants and nylon pants from the 70s, and I get all these things. They basically claim that they get them cheap from the local supplier that gets rid of what they call rags. These are not rags. These do not absorb, and this is what they use at the end of the day or at the end of that particular delivery of product to keep it supposedly contaminant-free for the next guy that used that particular unit. And then they don't have it marked. It could be gear oil today. It could be hydraulic oil tomorrow. It could be engine oil the day after that. And this is absolutely unacceptable. And we've got some ways to fix that along the way here. So it doesn't matter how great our predictive and preventative maintenance practices are in any plant, if you can't assure the right clean oil at the right time, in the right amount at the machine. Basic storage and handling techniques like what we're talking about today have to be met in order to implement a world-class maintenance program. So you can't have a world-class maintenance program if you're not careful and pay attention to how you're receiving product and how you're delivering product. No open containers are acceptable. Properly marked and preferred color-coded is the way that that successful customers and clients operate today. I put down two brands, but there's many of them out there. Oil Safe and ICANN are some brands that are out there. You can Google on the internet and get a list of many different options for you. The ideal situation is to have all oil dispensers properly labeled with the correct lubricant and a color code for the lids. You can make your own lube tags or you can order lube tags. And some oil manufacturers might even be able to provide you with some lube tags that you can put right on your equipment. This lube tag will actually have a color code on it, match the lid, and a name, or even a symbol to match what's on the container. So we got to remember that many people are colorblind. I learned that, in the early '90s. I started in this business, and some people can't read. So unfortunately, by having color code, a color on the label, a color on the product or the container, the transfer container, the name as well written out, and also a symbol. Those three items are key to making sure that we make this as error-free as possible for an effective maintenance. Here's a picture of a myriad of different types of containers that are secure, color-coded, sealed, and having those items like that for transferring products will maintain and guarantee and assure an effective clean from the main storage area to the equipment. Don't be afraid to go one step better. Here you see color-coded and marked container breathers and hand pumps with quick couplers. The next page will show you an easy way to get and here's this is an area where this particular we tagged the particular equipment here. There's a desiccant breather on top of this gearbox, which will take out any moisture that is in the headspace of this. We're going to talk a little bit about this, or actually going to see a lot of this as I end the presentation, because these are smart to use on drums or even on bulk containments. Very important that the headspace has any moisture in it removed as it breathes. So a quick connect to take an oil sample, a nice way to drain the system, and over here, a way to add oil virtually free of any contamination. Contamination by other lubricants. Here's a good example of the products all lined up. They're in sealed metal containers and everything is marked. Okay, drums that cool down overnight, warm up during the day, cool back down at the end of the day into the nighttime, will actually breathe. And I try to use this example as moisture breathing in an upright drum with customers that say a delivery is made. They work 3:15, 3:30, and then they log out behind. And let's just say they don't put a cover on it. They leave a drum or many drums sitting outside because nobody is available. It rains overnight. That's on top of that. Okay, and here we go. We got airspace here, like we did in the gearbox. This slide. Guess we got oil in the top of the lid of the drum. As this next day comes into play and nobody pays attention to these drums, this warm oil and air in the barrel got air of this particular drum. Here I've got a little video in the top right. You won't hear it, but you can see the bubbles as that drum heats up in the middle of the day and it gets to be 80 degrees outside. Now, what does it do as it cools into the next evening? It's sucking air in. And unfortunately, because it rained the night before, there is no what's on water. Water drawn in when the oil and the air contract when cooling. So these drums, just like a gearbox, just like a hydraulic system, they're all designed to breathe. Whether they're static or they're operating, they're breathing along the way. So making sure that we don't leave these types of scenarios in our facility is very important, because new oil will have water in it if you don't pay attention to it and bring it indoors or lay it on its side, or we've got some other ways that we can assist you with. like to tell people store containers clear off the ground, right? Oh, prevent contamination and leakage this way by laying them down either on boards or some type of rubber, or don't lay them in the mud, lay them on its side in a covered facility if possible. Remember, the drums will be breathing and drum labels do not weather well. Here's a picture that I took, the bottom left-hand side, of a drum that spent some time outdoors. You can tell it's starting to rust. The labels are basically gone, basically unreadable. And here's water collecting on top of these drums. That is an enemy to any brand new drum that's delivered. Once again, you lay these drums on their side, got airspace there. You got airspace there. What happens when you lay them down with the 3/4 inch bung hole at the 9 o'clock position and the 2-inch bung hole at the 3 o'clock position? This drum can't breathe, which is what you want. And there are some products, and I actually had one of my territories for 6 years was in Central America and the Caribbean, where there's so much humidity in the air, you can cut it with a knife. And there are some products that are extremely sensitive to even a single drop of water in the oil. So turning them to their side and putting the bung holes at 3 and 9 o'clock is the only effective way of making sure that water doesn't get in. Even undercover, there's a lot of humidity in the air that can get into a drum if it's standing straight up. It's breathing, so if there's humidity in the air, it's going to be breathing at least a little bit of humidity as it's working. So once again, notice the 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock, drums are on their side, temporary outdoor shelter on top of something, not just the mud or the concrete, and hopefully covered as well. Here's an effective way of covering a drum. I've seen this done numerous ways. When you can't get the product into your inventory effectively and quickly, you put these covers on them. They work good, they're cheap, they snap on, they don't fly off, and they keep water out. Another way is to block that drum. Okay, so once again, 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock, water around the bung may be drawn into the barrel if you set it up at 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock like this. This is the wrong way of doing it. So doing it 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock is the correct way of doing it. Hence, neither the 3/4 inch nor the 2-inch bung will have any water, standing water, that will be taken in during the breathing of the drum. Talk about some storage ideas. Individual lockers, lock and key so that only the right people can go in there is a smart way of doing it. And there's no real one way of doing this, because obviously a steel mill is going to have different requirements than a company that makes muffins. So everything's going to have to be taken into a consulting type of a situation where you need to draw up and design an individual oil storage facility or ideas or concepts custom made to the audience that you're talking about. Once again, a mining operation is going to operate way differently than a food processing. So these are ideas, these are concepts. Once again, designing it custom made for that particular client or for yourself is something that you're going to have to take all the material that I'm presenting today and be able to use it effectively in your design. All containers are key. All containers are obviously well worth their time and energy as follows. If you use a lot of these oils, managing drums or managing pails is not an effective way. So you'll be able to judge whether or not you need to go to bulk or not based on how much manpower is in the handling of the drums that's needed. These bulk containers must be properly identified. Individual pumps and hoses must be segregated by product family. Once again, the desiccant breathers, as you see here on these blue containers in the center, there's breathers on there that are taking any moisture out from this headspace. And fluid containment may be required on the bottom for any spills. You'll need to check with your own local authorities for what the requirement is or what you think needs to be the requirement at your facility. Long-term storage of oils and greases. At moderate temperatures, minimal effect on most premium lubricating oils, hydraulic oils, process oils, and waxes. An approximate guide to maximum recommended storage times for products that may deteriorate are shown below. For lubricants, roughly, this is just an estimate, 5 to 10 years. For greases, 24 to 36 months. Here's a further breakdown of it, but please check with your manufacturer of products so that they can give you better guidance than what's on this list of just generalities. For soft greases, number 0 and softer, they last about 1 to 2 years as a shelf life recommendation. NLGI grade greases of a 1 and stiffer, about 3 years. Cutting oils, approximately 1 year for soluble and 3 years for neat oils. Base oils, lightly additized oils, approximately 3 years. Industrial oils, hydraulic, vacuum pump oils, etc., approximately 3 years. Gear oils, which are both industrial and automotive gear oils, we estimated about 3 years. Heavily additized automotive oils, tractor fluids, ATFs, etc., it's about 5 years. But once again, check for that. Some dispensing tools that you can get online and use effectively. These drum faucets work great, been around for decades and maybe close to a century actually, or longer. And you lift up on that end, you get your oil into your oil safe container that's sealed, or well, unsealed, and pour it in there. Once you drop that lever down, you don't even get a drip. And then you seal your transfer container and move on to the next to lubricating your equipment. A rocker type drum, clearly the 2-inch bung hole is about 3 inches off the edge of the drum. So these rocker type drum backs are very effective in lifting up on the backside and getting all the oil out of a drum. Here's a hand operated drum pump for oils, work very effective, been around forever. You saw pictures of them earlier in my presentation. Here's a follower plate system with air operated for getting grease out of drums. Here's some ideas on metal containers and some pistol oilers. Always have to be properly marked and sealed. Bucket pumps for 5-gallon buckets of grease. They work very effectively. Here's a filtration unit, an air breather out of a drum, 55-gallon drum with a portable filter, 10 micron in size there for the filtration level. But basically, you are keeping the headspace dry and clear with the air breather here, pumping out the oil, going through a 10 micron filter. And let me tell you, 10 microns will be a lot cleaner than any oil manufacturer will give the product to your site in the drum. So getting down to a 10 micron filter is really a very, very good practice. Here's some ideas on this dispensing filter carts. There's a 2-stager there on the left, a longer 2-stager in the middle, and a multi-stage on the right. But for example, on a 2-stage, a lot of customers I've recommended going from micron down to a 10, or maybe micron down to a 5. There's a lot of different ways to talk about filtration carts, but they work very effective. All right, dispensing your products, know your levels. Here's an example of a hydraulic system where the maintenance crew marked where level needs to be. Otherwise, if those marks weren't on there, you really wouldn't know where you need to be. But during a down system day, you see the lines up on top, because when it's down, all the oil gets taken right back. There's nothing in the lines, there's nothing in the pumps, there's nothing in the actuators, there's nothing in the cylinders. But when it's operating, that oil's gone, right? So when the machine's operating, that oil is actually going to show a much lower level because it's in all those items that I mentioned earlier. But knowing where your level is very, very key. You don't want to go low, definitely don't want to go high. This is critical, or even worse. Here's some heavy-duty portable filtered pluggy drum dispensers. Once again, 2-stage filtration and desiccant breather on them to remove any headspace moisture. Very effective way of getting oil into your equipment clean. Here's some pictures of some very good inside storage. Picture on the top left. They have a very good practice for first in, first out. They mark the drums with a date That's a great idea. And here on the right-hand side, I show the, a little diagram on FIFO inventory management, whether it's grease or drums, it makes no difference. Always mark your drum or pail or grease tube, boxes, whatever it is, with a date so that you can figure out when, what the next product is that needs to be used. And you can see the wall here has got all the product names very nicely marked. Down below on the bottom left-hand side, you see all the oil containers there, green lids, blue lids, black lids, purple lids, yellow lids, desiccant breathers on the drums as well. So an effective way of making sure, and there's some filters in the back as well, that these clean filtered oils get into the transfer units effectively by color, by code or symbol rather, and by name, and transport it over to where the equipment needs it. So a very good imagery here of what good inside storage looks like, should look. Another one on good practice, similar to the picture before, very nicely organized, very clean. And that's the other thing. The cleaner you have your facility, the cleaner you have your oil storage warehouse, ultimately the cleaner thought process and culture change is going to be instilled in people's heads. Here's a very nice system made by OilSafe, where not real high volumes here, but low volumes. This is actually a food grade account. You see the top, got the headspace desiccant breathers there, and you see the filters down below. These are all segregated. Also, each one of these containers has its own pump, its own. The important thing is the instructions here. A step-by-step instructions for whether it's a new person or a person that's been doing it time. Basically standard operating procedures that are very key and important to making sure that they get the product into those containers effectively and out of those containers and into the right transfer containment for the machine effectively and efficiently as well. We designed some, I talked earlier about color code, symbols, and product names. And I don't mean to make light of this, but like I said, people are colorblind, and some people may not be able to distinguish letters in some parts of the world. I mean, that's just the way it is. This particular tan is a food grade grease. We gave a hydraulic oil blue for food grade. We gave gear oil green. We gave silver or a gray color to white oils. Heat transfers were yellow, gears were purple, and then EP gear oils were red. So all with their symbol. So you got the name of the product, the color, and the symbol. 3 items to make sure that when you apply these oils or grab these oils from inventory, it's a perfect match. Here's some very good practices. Once again, look at this picture on the bottom right-hand side. All these drums, unfortunately, have to be stored outside. There's no way for this customer to keep these inside. The bungs are all at 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock. The headspace is up here. There's no way these drums are collecting any moisture. This is a bad practice. Sitting outside, upright, these drums are breathing every single day. And this happens to be in the Caribbean. These are very high humid areas. Matter of fact, this location was, you can see ocean from where this facility is. So you can imagine how humid the air is 12 months out of the year. Bad practices here. The only good practice in the center picture, or the picture on the right-hand side, is they've got a berm here set up in case there's a leak, but they keep used oil here, new oil here. God only knows what's in here, and this is not a good practice. Same with the left-hand side. These are all stored outside. You got brand new pails. You got pails that are half used, pails that are empty. Some used oil thrown in here as well. Really, it's out of control. There's no way of understanding or knowing what you're grabbing or what you're doing here. You can see a picture. This guy's trying to figure out, what he's looking for, and within months of these products being out here, you can't even read the labels because of the weathering that they take. the salt air in some parts of the world, the humidity, and just long-term storage outside. Here's a perfect example where these drums actually rusted through and the grease just came flying out. Very costly for the customer. Not only costly as far as the drums of expensive product that he bought, but you know, mitigation is also very severe in some of these counties, countries, etc. For dumping into the environment like this. Bad practices, once again, these are all standing up. Here's a picture of what this drum looks like. You literally have flakes of rust. I don't know about you, but I would not use this product in anything in my plant. Another result of bad practice, these drums have water on them, basically nonstop, constantly year round, and they never dry because it's in an area that rains all the time. And as we learned, the warm weather blows air out, the cool weather sucks water in. So you have a recipe for disaster here. You're definitely getting water in. Another example of getting into the. Another example, same concept. These drums have been sitting out so long that there's rust flakes. Now, what do you do with used oil? I don't like the drums sitting around with a label on them. I like something totally separate, close to the new oil, but not exactly on top of the new oil. Here's a couple of ideas that you can use that have worked effectively. They need to be able to be picked by your recycler easily with a forklift, or by your staff with a forklift so that they can stick it on the recycler's truck and get rid of it, get it off property. Housekeeping failures. We mentioned being clean, not only in the warehouse, everywhere. The shop, manufacturing floor, everywhere that you that you touch daily. So sweep floors daily is very key. Clean up spills immediately. Keep your workbenches uncluttered and free of debris, and limit the use of floor storage. And by all means, I didn't show a picture of this, do not use brand new drums as a workbench, because people do that. Now that's a lot better. Take a look at that beautiful garage there, or maintenance area. That tool room is very, very clean. You keep things clean everywhere, and it changes the culture, and ultimately your expenses on repairing parts because of contamination and controlling that from the oil position is going to virtually go away. So, or at least be minimized. It'll never go away, but you got to at least minimize the fact that you're getting dirty oil into equipment if you're not paying close attention, and you want to keep these oils not only contaminant free, but make sure that you're not mixing them new virgin oils in as well. In summary, discard all inventory products that's out of its shelf life. Labels for drum storage, color coding by product category. Create a used oil disposal containment with easy access to pick up and removal by a recycler. This should be properly marked, and in my opinion, it should not be a 55-gallon drum. Proper lighting in the lubricant storage area and temperature control is really desired. Color code and dedicate transfer pumps or drum pump for each lubricant. Purchase color-coded transfer containers to match pumps and always have proper training. So the ultimate goal for good storage and handling is you got to have everyone on board. You got to have from the maintenance manager or the team lead for this down to the operator or the person that orders the product. Having the products named on the container, having them color coded as well. You can see the loop tags with different colors. The dispensing transfer containers as well, properly marked with its code, its color, and its name. Having the breathers on the units. This is all a recipe for a very good storage and handling program, and ultimately leads to a terrific maintenance, predictive and preventative maintenance program. But the idea is someone's got to be the lead charge for this event. It can't just happen by its own, because it won't happen by its own. Someone's got to take ownership of it, be the hero of a lube program and make sure that everyone's properly trained and understands how to bring the oils in, how to keep the oils clean, and how to make sure the product that gets from these containers to the equipment is the right product, on time, and clean as well. So having said that, I have finished my